what's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. The date today is Wednesday, August the 8th, 2026, 1:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Dave McCrae, coming to you live from the Voice Man Studios in Toronto, Canada. He's Tony Michael in Atlanta, Georgia. It is episode 215 of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. I still got the sick voice. I can't do a big We Are Live, so I'll do a small one.
You want me to do it?
Go now!
We are live!
I have been dealing with a nasty cold over the last couple of weeks. I am on the other end of it, believe it or not. I am on the other end of it. And I still have a bit of that weak, sicky voice, still a lingering cough, but I'm nowhere near as bad as I was, say, this time last week. This time last week, I literally, and I mean the dictionary definition of the word literally, not how people use it, like my head literally exploded. Like, well, it didn't because you'd be dead. But literally, I had no voice. I was literally, it was literally like that. I could whisper, I could go, hey, like if I tried to speak, it was, hey, what's going on? But if I whispered, it was, hey, what's going on, everybody? So I had to whisper quite a bit. But thankfully the voice is somewhat back and you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Summer sickness. How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing fucking fantastic, bro. I'm sorry that you're sick.
That's all right. No worries at all. No worries at all. But we're here and we're back. Can you just do a quick double check to make sure that your mic is
check?
Check. Yes, that is correct. That is the correct word. So we are talking about Crystal Lake. I know people are probably like, why aren't you talking about Elm Street and the fucking two Elm Street movies and the Freddy Krueger and the I know. I was sick. That's why I haven't jumped on and talked about it. You would have got me going.
Did I miss some news, dude? I've been so like in knee deep in this Texas Chainsaw documentary that I'm finishing up on.
Mm-hmm.
I have like the outside world clueless. Like what's the Elm Street news that I'm?
I have to brush up on it. There's rumors there's going to be two Elm Street movies because somebody's got the rights for this and they got the rights for this and they want it. It's just Elm Street stuff. People are chomping at the bit. You got one studio's got the rights for the domestic, another studio's got the rights for international, and people are saying, oh, there's going to be two Elm Street movies. That would be the stupidest thing of all time if they released two completely separate Elm Street movies. But it would not surprise me in 2026.
It would not surprise me.
It would just be, I don't think that's going to happen at all. But anyways, that's a whole other thing, which we will talk about at some point when more new, juicier news comes down the pipe. To me,
like casting. Or
No, it was more just like, hey, this is kind of where it's at. These are the rumors going around. What do you think of this kind of thing? I'm waiting for the juicy stuff, the real juice dripping off the blades. Crystal Lake, though. We have a trailer for Crystal Lake, a teaser trailer for Crystal Lake, which dropped, again, a couple weeks ago. But we haven't had a chance to talk about it here live on the show, so that's what we're going to do today.
Personally, we've kind of...
That's true.
I don't know, like, I know you did a video by yourself, but I purposely didn't watch it so that the conversation could be authentic to...
That's true.
You know, what your thoughts were, and I just rewatched it again before we went live.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this should be fun.
It should be fun. I did do a video on it. So I'll just say I like the teaser. I did. You and I have been huge proponents and huge fans of the idea of Pamela Voorhees, a series or even a film centric to her, surrounding her. A lot of Friday the 13th fans do not want that. Not everybody. not everybody, but there are a lot of Friday the 13th fans that do not want it. When they think of Pamela Voorhees, they think of Betsy Palmer. They think of the 1980 film. They think of, and of course there was a lot of theatrical acting. It's a bit dated now. And that's what you think of when you think of
Kevin Bacon's boner. That will never get dated.
That will never get dated. Kevin Bacon's boner. But that's what people tend to think of. And of course, I know Pamela Voorhees, the character, made an appearance, of course, in Freddy vs. Jason, and with another actress, and there's been little bits and bobs of her.
Cameo in part 2, I believe. Yes.
Betsy Palmer did. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But in terms of the character, we've seen the character in bits and bobs since then. But generally speaking, what people think of when they think of Pamela Voorhees is they think of that, no disrespect to Betsy Palmer, of course, classical actress. But of course, that's what they think of. They think of just that, last 20 minutes of the original Friday the 13th. And so there really isn't an emotional attachment to the character because you haven't had an opportunity to have that emotional attachment. But the character of Pamela Voorhees is one of the most important characters in all of Friday the 13th. And it is Jason and then Pamela. And there might be an argument to even say Pamela and then Jason. The whole reason for Jason's existence, the whole reason for we know why he's doing what he's doing. This isn't like Halloween and, Michael Myers where it has to be kept in ambiguity. We know why he's doing what he's doing. He's avenging his mother's death over and over and over again. And so the relationship between my special boy and his mother is, and I know that they've played fast and loose as the years have gone on, but is so incredibly iconic, so incredibly important, and there's so much untapped potential. Most Friday the 13th fans don't care because Jason's not in that movie. They just want, teens, boobs, and blood and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. That's fine. But you and I had talked about this years ago, long before they ever made an announcement about Pamela Voorhees.
Yeah, when was that
long
video
before.
We did? It had to be at least a couple of years ago.
It was way before that. It was like 2019 we talked about this. 2020. It was like pre-pandemic we talked about this. And you and I have always been huge proponents of that character.
Yeah, because I think we both were saying the same thing. Like, where do you go with this franchise where they haven't? I mean, they literally went to outer fucking space. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, where do you go with that character, and how do you bring new life? And this is exactly how you do that. It's not to say that you can't eventually, where the payoff leads to Jason in this series, 100%. But it's like, I mean, short of if they went down the road of like doing a sackhead thing for a couple of films, how do you come from a fresh perspective? And this is really the only way to do it. And look, I get it. The fan base wants the hockey mask. I get it because that's the brand. But
correct.
I mean, like, fuck, man, I don't know what else you can do.
There's nothing you can do. No, I'm just laughing. There's nothing there's nothing more you can do.
No, I'm trying to think, like, how do you bring new life into this movie when they literally took the character to outer fucking space? You know what I mean? Like, it's like they more than jumped the fucking shark.
Yes.
So it's like this to me, and in my recent rewatch here before we went live, I will say a couple things in some of the still images that we did share some of the still images through Instagram privately.
We did. Yeah.
As it was going along. I love the aesthetic look. I love that it's a period piece. So I'm really excited to see what they do with that. And there's just so like if I vaguely remember, dude, our whole video we did we not say like to set it back in those earlier years?
We did.
Like in stealing ideas of like, when the truck driver was talking about the incidents that were happening up there at the lake.
Yes.
Right.
We did. We did.
Like all that shit that they were talking. Like
we wanted to see the inception of Pamela Voorhees.
Right.
Yeah.
And everything built around that. Right.
Yes.
And then, get us to Jason. And I think this is cool that now I don't know if they're doing that, but whatever direction they're going to go with this, this to me, damn, you're giving me your cold, bro.
Hey, it's coming in. It's like the wildfire smoke.
And Laura Burns is sending it through the computer waves.
There you go.
To me, I feel like this is kind of like a hard reboot. And with that, there's so much you can do because we've never seen this backstory. We've only seen the one film with Betsy Palmer, but that one film is set like years, after some of those events. So
Correct.
There's just so much that they can do. And I just think from a storytelling perspective, there's a lot of potential if done right.
Correct. And one of the things that people again always say, and they talk about that first movie and they talk about Pamela, I don't care about Pamela Voorhees. Who cares about Pamela Voorhees? Because you haven't been given the opportunity to care about her. There hasn't been a chance for you to become emotionally attached, to care about that character. Because when you think of Pamela Voorhees, you think of 1980 Betsy Palmer, and literally that's it. And so there isn't an opportunity for you to, to cast somebody like Linda Cardellini, to cast somebody in the role, to give you an opportunity to care about the character, to take your time over 8 episodes, over 8 hours, and build something. And then all of a sudden, if the series is good, it doesn't have to blow you away. It doesn't have to be the greatest thing of all time. But if the series, the show is good, it's good. You walk away from it going, that was actually pretty good. Because, and again, temper your expectations. It doesn't have to change your life. It doesn't have to, fucking reinvent things. It just, you have to walk away from it going, you know what? That actually wasn't awful. That was actually really good. I really enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to a second season. I hope there is one. If that's what they deliver, that was actually pretty good. If that's what they deliver, then when you think of Pamela Voorhees now, you're not going to think of Betsy Palmer from 1980. You're going to think of Linda Cardellini in the 2026 series. And now you're going to have a new association. It's all about association. And then if you really like the character and you really like what's happening in the series, oh my God, now you think of Pamela Voorhees. You're like, that's what I think of. And then all of a sudden, Pamela Voorhees becomes cool. Because right now, Pamela Voorhees isn't cool. That's the problem. She's cool to me. She's cool to you. But in a general sense, in the bigger picture, Jason's fucking cool. Jason's got the mask and the sack and he's cool. Pamela Voorhees isn't cool right now. And so there's an opportunity to make her cool. I think she's cool, but I'm just speaking generally, right? And so that's why I'm excited about it. You go back, you tell the story. Who is she? What was that relationship like? All that kind of stuff. And it looks like, again, it's just a teaser trailer, but it looks like we're going to get some of that. We're going to get some of that here, right? And
I think they're going to flush out a lot more than really, as far as backstory goes with Betsy Palmer, we just get that little monologue that she does in the film when she's talking to Alice, and that's it. But now we can spend some time with that. You keep laughing. I feel like I'm missing an inside joke.
No. I'm just thinking about Betsy Palmer and the people that don't like fucking, that don't get it, that don't understand it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just laughing at the fact that it's like,
we have one film. That's it.
Yes.
And now they can flesh this out. And Linda, what's her last name?
Cardellini, yeah, because people have said to me that Pamela Voorhees, like, I'm laughing because people have said she's useless and she's not important. I'm like, what are you talking about? There would be no Jason if there was that. There would be no Jason Voorhees if there was no Pamela Voorhees. And I don't mean like Inception, she gave birth to him. I mean the whole fucking reason he's doing his thing
is vengeance.
Yeah.
He's vengeance for his mom's death. Yeah. No, I think, look, you're gonna have naysayers, right? It's just comes with the territory, people want the IP, they want the hockey mask, and that's it. But it's like, well, what have we not seen so far with Jason that hasn't been like overkill? No pun, but like literally overkill.
Yeah.
To the point where the franchise just becomes, a joke in itself by the end. And I get people are Kane Hodder fans, but his movies aren't exactly really rewatchable.
That's right.
Maybe the 7th one, but like, it's not like I'm lining myself up to watch Jason Takes Manhattan.
That's right.
I haven't watched that movie in forever. Forget Jason Goes to Hell. That's just a fucking. And then Jason Going to Outer Space is, again, same thing. Like, those aren't films that I'm sitting down watching. If I'm watching Friday the 13th, It's usually the first 4. That's kind of where my wheelhouse is, and then maybe 5 just for the whole Roy Burns thing, and 6, with
Right.
the MTV one. But to me, I just feel like this again, like I just said, not to be repeating myself, but it gives a fresh perspective, and there's so much new story you can tell. And look, I trust A24. I do. I like, it's very rare do I ever walk away from an A24 film and I'm like, well, that just sucked.
Yes.
Like, I'm not saying they don't produce bad movies, but it's very rare that I'm feeling disappointed.
Yeah. And again, temper your expectations. Like, I look at the teaser and I think, okay, this looks like what we would expect. It's set in the 70s, probably 76, 77, somewhere around there. We see a young Pamela Voorhees, younger, not like young, but in her probably 30s or whatever. And she's and we get a sense of what to expect. We see kids at the camp. We're going to learn the origin story of how this came to be. I'm sure we're gonna, like there's, and maybe there will be creative liberties taken and decisions made that might piss some people off. Maybe, I don't know, but maybe there'll be some things that might happen, or story directions they go that fans don't like, or maybe there'll be a ton of things that they go that fans absolutely love. This is not just, I think this is going to be something where they honor what's come before, but they also want to put their own they're putting more meat on the bone. And so I'm very curious on how, and looking at this teaser, I'm really curious on what is the relationship between Jason and Mother going to be like? Do you know what I mean? Like, is this going to be something that is... I
hope they flush that out. I hope we see a little bit of that dynamic in this, like whether it's in flashbacks as the series is going along, that you're seeing moments between mom and her son. What I'm hoping I just hope it's more like a genuine relationship, right? Rather than like, I don't want it to be like Norman Bates and his mother. I don't want that. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd rather it to be more sincere, a motherly love for her son, and authentic to her reasoning for what she's doing. Right?
Yes, exactly. And I think that you're gonna get more of that. Like you're gonna sorry, I lost my train of thought. You're going to hopefully discover more of her backstory and the relationship with Jason. Like we see that one shot in the teaser where Jason's in like this, not incubator, but in this like glass dome or something or whatever. And he looks kind of deformed and weird. And like, what's happening there? Like, did she give birth to him that way? Is she helping him? Are there other people? Like, it's what is the nucleus? What is the inception of their relationship? And how is that all going to come together? Like I don't think we're introduced to, I don't know how much time they're going to spend on it. Like maybe it's just the first episode and maybe we see all this in flashbacks. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that, and I'm only holding my mic closer because people say, or someone's saying they're having a hard time hearing me. So hopefully this is better.
And I did boost you since that comment came in.
So hopefully this will help out. But I could see them doing that in flashback sequences, maybe even as like each episode's going along, like you could have an opening, like a hard opening where it's just, you see mom and Jason at the breakfast table or something, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
just like a sincere, genuine moment. And then it cuts to, she's fucking someone up, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Like she's and how are we going to see it? Like I said, in terms of like in the teaser, you see her yelling and screaming, Jason, when she's in the water. And it's like, well, is he drowning at that moment? Because in the original lore, she wasn't there when he drowned, right? Because
I bet you that's probably a dream sequence.
Maybe it's a dream sequence. Yeah. Like there's a lot of, or is that something that's changed? right? Is that something that's changed?
Look, if she's there or in the vicinity of the incident happening, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm okay, like that she's close enough to where because you don't there's a shot where you see her going into the water and she's in her clothes.
That's right.
Looking
That's
for
right.
him.
So is that actually happening? Is it not a manifestation, a dream, or is it a hallucination? Is she standing on the dock looking, kind of remembering when her son drowned, and then she thinks she sees him, right? She thinks she sees him. So she's hallucinating and she dives into the water and she's like, Jason, oh my God. And maybe her friends are like, fuck, Pamela, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, no, he's dead. He's gone. Something like that even, right? You know what I mean?
I would be on board if she was there. Like she couldn't save him, and she's looking at the lifeguards and the people in the camp counselors. Like, why weren't you helping? Why weren't you paying attention? Why weren't you looking out for my son? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them taking liberties to because again, we've never seen it from this perspective. We only have the first film to go off of.
That's right.
So with that in mind, look, they can take as much creative liberties as they want, as long as they're telling a good story. I don't give a shit. Tell a good story, and I'm going to be there for each episode when they drop.
That's it. Yeah. And again, fans have to understand that it's not, I don't imagine this is going to be just a beat for beat recreation of the mythology you already know. This is A24, and A24 is also not likely to, they're not going to do something as, they're going to want to, again, there's going to be more meat on the bone. There's going to be more story. They're not likely to do something so simple. You know what I mean? So simplistic, so like basic. And that's what a lot of fans love about Friday the 13th. And I totally get that. But in 2026, that's a difficult sell today. Like I've always said this, and fans may agree and they may not. The goal of a studio, and I think with this Jason character in the Jason universe, is not to have Jason around, briefly. It's to have Jason around indefinitely. And in 2026, you don't accomplish that by delivering Friday the 13th Part 5, or Friday the 13th Part 3. You can get away with that once, perhaps, because people are so malnourished and so hungry for Jason that you could deliver a movie like that or a television series like that, and people would eat it up. But then what? Are you going to deliver 5 more movies like that? No, it's not going to work. It's not going to work in 2026. It worked in the 80s because that was because it was slasher, it was horror. That's just what it was back then. But today, audiences are different. Generations are different. They want more meat on the bone. And as I said, I don't mean to make it pretentious and something it isn't, but just there's more story. There's more going on. It's more character driven than plot driven, and so we get more kind of inside, baseball of sort of this stuff. They take the seeds of what was there and they build it. They world build around it, and that's what you're going to get. Because if you want Jason around longer than one movie or, 5 episodes of a series or something like that, then you got to do that. And it doesn't mean that everyone's going to like it, but, I don't know. The only thing I'll say is that, and maybe I won't feel this way too when I watch the series, but the sweater that Pamela Voorhees is wearing kind of reminds me of Chucky. Like she's got a little bit, like she's got a bit of that blue, red, yellow around the cuffs. There's a little bit, kind of looks like a good guy doll. A little bit. I'm not saying that's intentional, by the way. I'm just saying that it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I think it's 8 episodes, I think. And this is just a teaser. There will be another trailer, a full trailer for sure, coming soon. No doubt about it, because it releases this October. No, but I'm guessing probably... Is there another Friday? What is it? So Wednesday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, we miss it. There's a Friday the 13th this October. I think that's the next one, I think you'll get it at the end of the summer, end of summer, beginning of September, maybe somewhere in there. You'll probably start to see it. But I'm very curious on, and I'm okay with it. And maybe it's because I'm not as emotionally attached to the Friday the 13th franchise as some people are, but I like it. I grew up with it. We grew up with it. I think I got into Jason before I got into Michael, if I'm being totally honest. And so, yeah, I am excited to see where they go with it. And Linda Cardellini is a great actress. And so I think she's going to do a great job. And they're filming it in the locations of where the original Friday the 13th was filmed, right? So you're not going to get that weird quasi desert kind of swamp Crystal Lake you got in Friday the 13th Part 3, which was just weird.
Like a fucking pond.
Yeah, it was a pond. It was just a pond. Or the fucking Friday the 13th Part 8 Jason Takes Manhattan Crystal Lake with mountains in the background, where it's just like
going to fucking New York on a fucking from a lake to the Atlantic Ocean.
Exactly. It's like, how do you even
right. So like if you're not on board with the Pamela Voorhees things, but you're gonna sell me on fucking Manhattan, that is the greatest thing ever, then I'm gonna be like, yeah, okay, bro. I can't take you serious.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you said, there's mountains in the background. Fucking, it's a lake connected to an ocean. Like
That's right.
like, all right.
That's it.
And Jason goes to outer space.
Yeah. And we've got that, and so, but I don't know. Like, do you think? Where do you think? Like, where do you think fans are right now? What do you think fans want from this?
Well, I think this is kind of a really good opportunity, if I'm being honest, because you have a younger generation out there that, I'm not saying they're not exposed to Jason, but what has been their exposure to Jason? Just the shit from the 80s. And, here's a great example. Okay. So like when I'm watching recently here with my girlfriend and her son, who's like 12 years old, we're watching Rob Zombie's Halloweens 1 and 2, and he fucking thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like it's because Rob Zombie's is newer, you know what I mean? But if I sit him down and show him the 78 film, because we were watching, in preparation for me to do my next documentary on Chainsaw Massacre, he was watching it with me and he was like, bro, this is old. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, but there's truth to it, right? Like they're not fazed by this stuff. You know what I mean? And it obviously is dated. So I think for the younger generation out there, this gives Friday the 13th some new life and maybe some content, like a show like this that breathes new life into the franchise to give audience like the payoff that we all want. Jason.
Right. Exactly. And
because I don't know how this young audience, like, I'm not saying there's not a younger generation out there who's fans of the, the series with Jason and whatnot. I just don't see a lot of them watching them.
Right. And
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and again,
I think these kids today are watching like the newer Halloweens. I don't know if they're watching all of them, but I would think for sure they're watching Rob Zombie's Halloween. For sure they're watching the Scream movies, and whatnot. So you've got to, and like you said, this movie, when we were watching this shit in the 80s, we weren't thinking like the way we are today. Like I said this to you privately, whereas like one of the joys that I got out of watching the Rob Zombie Halloweens with him was that, man, I remember being like that when I was watching movies, where I just didn't give a shit. Like, I didn't care about story and whatever and whatnot. I just wanted to see something that looked cool. And he thought it looked cool. And I think with the Friday the 13th, when you look at that first film, we're going to appreciate it, and people slightly younger than us are going to appreciate it. But when you start getting younger to the teens, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if those movies. I have to ask when I'm around her this weekend. I'm going to ask her daughters, because her daughter's into horror movies. Not a super big horror person, but she likes them. Like, and she's a sophomore in high school now. And so I'm like, would you guys sit down for Friday the 13th movies, or is that not the in thing, with these kids today? I don't know, because I don't
know. Well, and when you show older movies to younger kids today, not everybody, of course, but a lot of them, it's dated. I mean, it's funny, it's dated. It's. I mean, you have to remember, it's like us watching a movie in the 90s from the 50s or something. I mean, it's very old.
Well, I love movies from the 50s, but
no, of course I do.
We're
too.
built from a different breed.
Yes, I do too. But I just mean generally, right? And so it's a harder sell. The acting, I mean, especially Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, and I say this with all due respect, a lot of the slasher films were, but certainly Friday the 13th, it's just B-movie schlocky nonsense. The acting is terrible. I mean, it was just rinse, recycle, repeat. I mean, it was nonsense. It didn't take a creative bone in the body to do any of those films. And so, I mean, some of the kills were inventive, sure. But I mean, the premises were literally just kids, not even kids. I mean, we're talking about like early 20s, at a camp or a rural area. And then you just, I mean, it was just, it is what it is. And so there was no real, which is what everybody seems to want. I'm just like, really?
Well, is it everybody, or is it more people our age because it's familiarity?
Right. I think that's a very good point. I think a lot of it has to do with people our age who, I think people are scared. I think people are scared. They don't want Jason to go away again. And so they understandably believe that, hey, if you just deliver teens, tits, and blood and kids at a camp, Jason Voorhees killing people, just deliver that and you will be successful and everything will be happy. And like I've said, that's true to a point, is that you can do that once, but you can't do that 5 times, and not in 2026. And so that's the dichotomy. That's the issue. That's why studios like A24 are doing this. That's why even Brian Fuller, before he left the project, everybody was like, oh, Brian Fuller. And then he left the project and people were like, oh, it's going to suck now. It's like Brian Fuller was going to put more meat on the bone. In his departing tweet, when he left the Crystal Lake series, he talked about putting more meat on the bone and elevating it. He talked about it. So he was going to do it too. They understand the assignment. They look at this and they go, okay, we want to deliver something familiar. We want to deliver the blood. We want to deliver, nudity. We want to deliver, Jason Voorhees, but we can't just do that.
No, not with today's audience.
Not today. Because it's not about just appealing to middle-aged men like you and I. It's about appealing to as many people as possible.
Do you know where that works, though? That works, a version of that works with like YouTube channels like the guys who did Never Hike Alone. Like that's where something like that works. Like if you're going to make a well-made, well-polished Friday the 13th fan film where you're giving those check marks of what you want, like the 80s aesthetic type film movies, then that's where that works. But a theatrical, no, that's not going to work.
No. But even, and to give credit where credit is due, Vincent DeSanti and Never Hike Alone, he did more than that. There was more meat on the bone there.
I'm just using that as an example.
Yes, no, for sure. Fan films. Right.
That's where that formula would work.
Right.
Theatrical.
It works in fan films because the stakes are not high. I mean, the stakes are literally not there at all. Because with a fan film, you cannot legally, because you don't own the intellectual property, you cannot make money from it. You can raise money to make the movie. You can't make money from the movie. And so with fan films, there's no stakes. There's stakes in the sense of you hope people watch it and you hope it gets a lot of views and the algorithm picks it up and it's sent out. Sure. Okay. There are your stakes. But in terms of money, there's no stakes involved. And as long as everybody was paid to do what they were supposed to do and everybody's happy and, whatever the case is, that's it. And so, but with actual money and actual millions of dollars being spent today, horror is different today. Nudity is looked at different today. Women make different choices today when it comes to nudity.
Yeah, I know they're doing that. I mean, some still.
Well, sure. And I know there's this. I know there's the Sydney Sweeneys of the world who, you know, you give her a pack of gum and she'll go topless. But generally speaking, imagine, here's a pack of gum, whip out your tits.
I mean, you're not lying, but you know.
No, I'm not. And that's that. But generally speaking, you know, because of the industry and because of Me Too and because of how things have changed.
Sorry, I'm on that joke still.
Pack of gum, Trident. Yeah. But things have changed. And so it's not that there aren't women that won't do nudity, but it's different today. You know, there are intimacy coordinators.
Well, there has to be a reason for it. It can't just because like, listen, we want you to show us your tits. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, it just doesn't work like that. If there's a reason for the scene and it makes sense to the storytelling, yeah, okay. You know, people do. I mean, it's not to say that they don't. Yeah, but it has to make sense. You know,
exactly. It has to make sense, and
I see more of that now in more films that have a bit more of an artistic style approach to it. Even in horror films, there's some horror films that have more of an artistic approach to it, where you do see some nudity. I just don't see that in like a Friday the 13th anymore. Not today's day and age.
Exactly. And it's a much different world. And horror's different too, right? Horror, as much as we like to think it's not respected, it is far more respected today. I mean, it's always been respected in genre circles, but it's far more respected today than it ever has been at any point in the general sort of scope of things. Yes, it's not winning all the Academy Awards still, and that's fine. And listen, Friday the 13th never is going to win an Academy Award. Okay, if you want an Academy Award, there has to be, you know, structure, story. It has to, a horror movie, if you want a horror movie to win an Academy Award or be nominated for an Academy Award, it has to cross the threshold of its own genre. It's got to appeal to non-horror fans. It's like Obsession, right? If Obsession continues on, and Obsession could very well get nominated for a few Academy Awards. And so because it didn't just appeal to horror fans, it crossed the threshold of its own genre. And it appealed to more of and that's how you do it. That's why The Exorcist was so successful in terms of being nominated, you know, and, you know, you get Jaws in there too. And you get, you know, Silence of the Lambs, and you get, you know, and you get Get Out, and you get, you know, like that's what it means, right? Terrifier's never going to get nominated for an Academy Award. You know what I mean? Friday the 13th's never going to get nominated for an Academy Award. Halloween's not going to get nominated for an Academy Award. These are just, it's more of the psychological, more of the broader appeal horror films that will, because that means more eyeballs are on it. That means it gets more buzz. That means during Oscar season, you can really push it and push it forward. And there's a lot more, there's just a lot more, right? You know what I mean? Buzz around it, and a lot more eyeballs on it, and a lot more, you know, non-horror fans or casual horror fans, so that's how those things happen. It's not that the Academy hates horror. It's that the Academy doesn't favor Friday the 13th Part 5. You know, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? And those kinds of horror movies, they'll never get nominated because they are B-movie schlocky nonsense. And so, but films like, you know, Silence of the Lambs or Obsession or, you know, whatever, they have a fighting chance for sure because they appeal to a broader audience.
Well, and like It Follows is another one that follows, you know, that falls in that. Like I said, this movie-going audience today it's a very mature movie-going audience. So I will not be surprised if we get a bit more of a mature Friday the 13th. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I agree.
It's not just so like, you know, slapstick, here's some tits and people are going to die. There's going to be a lot of, like you said, there's going to be more meat to the bones, but does it mean that that's going to be hereditary meat to the bones?
No, I agree. Yeah. I mean, you definitely need more meat on the bone. And because if you don't, then, you know, what are you doing, right? Like it's your shelf life for Friday the 13th. If you're the fan that says, all I want is teen tits and blood, I just want Friday the 13th in the 80s today. Okay. All right, here it is. Well, how come they're not making any more? Because nobody goes and sees it. Nobody sees it, right?
I mean, look at what happened in the 2009. You know what I mean? That thing sunk faster than the fucking Titanic.
It is. I mean, I don't know if it. I think it was, and if it's not, it still is one of. It is one of the biggest second weekend drops in motion picture history, in cinema history. Friday the 13th, 2009's second weekend is one of the biggest drops in history. Not horror, not in 2009, in history.
And look, look at that film. It checked, every box was checked that you would want in a Friday the 13th. Kills, nudity, pointless people dying, shitty dialogue. Like basically your 101 formula for how to do a Friday the 13th film. And like you said, it is the second or largest drop in movie cinema history. So what does that say? Like if you're like, well, I want the formula. Well, no one went and saw the formula in 2009.
Exactly. Nobody did. Nobody. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, just my cough. Nobody saw it. And I mean, people saw it opening weekend because they were excited, but nobody went back. Nobody went back. Did we cover that movie? Because that might have been the last. Like, I saw the movie when it first came out, and then I think I watched the movie. If we did we cover that movie? I can't fucking remember. I think we did. I think we did.
Episodes. I don't remember. Maybe we did. We probably did. And that was the last time I watched it. If we did it, then that would have been it. Yeah.
I think that was the last time. I've only seen it once or twice. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
And the only thing I remember is just the
tits are stupendous. That's right. We did watch it.
Right. Well, there's that line.
The greatest line ever in a Friday the 13th movie. Your tits are stupendous.
Yes.
I mean, I just would have loved to have been on set that day where I'm sure some producer was on the side saying, say her tits are stupendous. And like, yeah, that's the greatest line ever.
Well, it was probably in the script. It was probably in the
or
script.
that, you know what I mean? Like, just like, like to even try to deliver that with a straight face, you know what I mean? Like,
yes. Yeah, exactly. It's like, but yeah, I mean, it's so having said all that, it doesn't mean that the series is going to be good. It doesn't mean that it's going to be, maybe it'll be terrible. I don't know. But I definitely know that, that the direction they've chosen in terms of moving in more of more story, is the right move, but I know it's going to piss a lot of fans off. People are pissed already that it just has to do with Pamela Voorhees. And there's already those people that are pissed off.
Look, that's the culture. We talked about this on one of our recent episodes. The culture is to be angry about something before you see it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we haven't seen one episode and we're already, I wish they almost would have taken the Stranger Things approach, meaning like when Stranger Things came out, there was no as far as I know, there was no massive advertisement for this show coming out. It just showed up one day and boom, we're all watching it. And it was like, holy fuck, where did this come from?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I almost wish that they took that same approach, rather than, but then in this day and age, it's so hard to hide everything.
Yes.
Like how do you keep it a secret? Because, like you said, people are already hating on the damn thing and we haven't even seen one episode yet. But again, that's the culture we're in. Hate it before you see it. Yeah. And probably hate it even after you see it.
Yeah. And people understand, it's, and this goes back to sort of a broader idea thing that we said too. And I've said this, and I know that this isn't I guess it's a hot take. But I am okay. And I mean this. I am okay if they never made another Halloween, Friday the 13th, or Elm Street film ever again in the history of mankind. I'm okay if I never saw them again. And that might feel very foreign and weird to people who are watching live or maybe after the fact. But that doesn't make any sense, Dave. Like, you're a fan, so shouldn't you want more of it? And it's like, well, that's one way. Yes, that there are fans that that want that. But for me, I just, you know, I'm nearly 50 years old. And so we're nearly 50 years old, you know? And so we look at it and we think to ourselves, okay, like we've got everything we could possibly want. And fans say, but what if they make a modern version that's great? Well, then great. That's okay. Like, that's amazing. Then, oh my God, make a modern version and it's amazing and it's great. Totally cool. But I don't care if they ever did or not. Like, that's basically what I'm trying to say. There are a lot of fans that really want a new Elm Street movie, and I'm totally open to it. Yeah. I mean, hey, you know, sure. But if they didn't, like if all of a sudden it was canceled and they didn't, I'd be okay, because I feel like they're not only products of their era and their time, you know, which is why in a lot of ways, not that you can't do it, but look at what happened with The Mummy, right? They tried to reimagine The Mummy with Lee Cronin's The Mummy, and some people really liked it, and some people were like, I don't know. You know, we're always trying to bring characters from certain eras into modern times, and maybe Freddy, Jason, and Michael are best left in the 80s. I mean, maybe it's just...
We did a whole show on that these characters are a product of their time and that they're better left. And if you are going to do it, keep them in their era. Maybe if you're going to do a movie like The Mummy, or I know they did a Bride thing with Christian Bale and Lady Gaga. I just, again, like, if you're going to try to do something close to Bride of Frankenstein, make it a period piece. Do it in black and white.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fuck. Like, you know, same thing with The Mummy. You know, the reason why, like, for me, if I'm going to watch The Mummy or Bride of Frankenstein or Frankenstein in general, I'm going to watch the 1930 films, and there's a reason for it. There's a reason I'm going to watch the 78 Halloween or the 74 Chainsaw Massacre.
Excellent point.
You know what I mean? Because these movies are a product of their time. We're not meant to see these films in modern days because they just don't work.
You know what? That's a really great point that you made, is that watching these older movies, watching the datedness of the production, like watching them within the context of the eras for which they're released, is part of the experience. It's part of watching it. And listen, some of these old horror movies they still hold up today. The Exorcist is still fucking scary today. And Rosemary's Baby and the original Elm Street, the original Halloween, they still work today. Psycho, of course, absolutely. They still work today. Even The Exorcist 3, right? You know, Legion. I mean, Jesus, that still works today. And And so, you know, it's yes, they're dated. Of course, the production value is dated. Maybe some of the acting might be dated. Some of the filmmaking techniques might be dated. Some of the effects might be dated. Okay. But that's
what you expect.
That's part of
That's part of the DNA. Yes.
Right. That's part of it. And so when you bring these characters into modern times, it's not that they can't work. It's not that Crystal Lake won't work, and whatever they do with Elm Street won't work, and whatever they could do with Halloween won't work. You know, but I don't know. I almost feel like we've already gotten 3 movies in 2020, 18, 21, 22 with Halloween and Michael. I'm like, why can't you do it again?
And we saw what happened. The same fucking shit that happened, right? Halloween 4, Michael's back. Well, 5, 6, yeah. Basically the same formula happened with 18, kills and ends.
Yes, you know? Exactly.
Stay true to Halloween formula. Great comeback, shitty sequels.
Yeah, I know. And it's just, and I just feel that, and again, it doesn't mean that Crystal Lake's not going to be great, because it could be great because they're exploring something else. They're going back, they're exploring something else.
Excited about. Yes.
But it's also set in you know, the 70s. It's not set in 2026. And so I'm not going to sit here and say that they cannot do it. They can't make a modern Elm Street film that's amazing. It's fantastic. Of course they can. Or they could not make more Halloween movies that are great, or a Friday the 13th movies that are great. Of course they can. I'm one of the fans that I will be there day one, of course, because I'm a horror fan. I like these characters' films. Of course I will be there, and I will always be rooting for it. But if suddenly they said, no, you know what, we've changed our mind, we're never going to make another one ever again in the history of time, I wouldn't lose sleep over it, because I'd be like, well, that's fine, because I have the films I grew up with. I have that's my association. When I think of Freddy Krueger, I think of that time, those movies. When I think of Halloween, even today, when I think of Halloween, I think of that era, that time, and Friday the 13th, and so on and so forth. And so I'm okay if they don't. And sometimes maybe it just, certain characters, it doesn't mean it's not going to make a little bit of money or it's not going to be kind of fun, but the longevity of it, that's what I'm concerned. Like, are we going to get Lee Cronin's The Mummy 2? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Did it do well? I have no idea. I heard it got really mixed reviews and all this kind of stuff. And that was a reimagining, and so, like, I don't know. I mean, but look at The Invisible Man. I mean, that was a fantastic film. Really great film.
But a different telling of it. It's not
a different telling of
it.
That's right.
What the original came out, in the 50s or the 60s? I think it was the 50s, right?
Yeah. Somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah,
because it was part of the monster family, run of all those films.
But it's also it's more of a side character. It's like I don't know, fucking some side character in the superhero universe that you don't really know that well, right? You know what I mean? So there's not as of an emotional attachment to the Invisible Man as there would be to Dracula or the Wolfman. You know what I mean?
I was about to say the Wolfman. They've tried a few adaptations of the Wolfman.
Well, we got another one coming out, Werewolf, coming out this Christmas.
And again, I don't know. I just feel if you're going to do like a Wolfman or a Dracula or a Frankenstein type movie, set it in the period, set it in the 30s or the 40s and do it as a black and white film. I think it might resonate better with the audience because there'll be a nostalgia feel to it. Like, oh, this reminds me of the original. Like, let's go check it out. That I think people would get excited for to go, spend their money at the theater versus to, I don't know. Like, I mean, like we're getting another, Jesus, how many Wolfman movies have we had? I feel like we've had like 3 or 4 of these.
Well, Lee Winnell delivered Wolfman, and I always make the distinction that there's a difference between Wolfman and a werewolf. Obviously, there's some overlap, but I think I really liked Wolfman a lot. I thought it was actually far better than people give it credit for. I think part of the problem is that people were expecting a werewolf, and they got a Wolfman. A werewolf is different than a Wolfman. A werewolf is a shapeshifter. You can change into a werewolf and then change back, then change into a werewolf and change back, and you're full-on wolf. Like, you just look like a bipedal sort of wolf. Whereas Wolfman is different. It's more of a hybrid. And once you start the change of becoming a Wolfman, you don't change back. Like, you're not, like, you're infected. You're not going to suddenly the next morning wake up and you're back to being dad. Not at all. Once the change begins to, so there's subtle, there is some overlap for sure. But I think people tend to use the terms Wolfman and werewolf interchangeably. And so I think some people maybe were expecting more of a werewolf movie than a Wolfman movie. I'm not saying it was an incredible film, but Lee Winnell is a great horror director. Of course, he did obviously Insidious Chapter 3, which was way better than it had any right being. He did Upgrade. He did The Invisible Man. He did The Invisible Man, which is fucking a fantastic horror movie. I mean, unobjectively, one of the best horror movies of the last 20 years. Yep. And of course, and then he did, Wolfman, and it was good. A lot of great eerie. It was good. Maybe not as what people wanted, but I thought it was all right. And then, of course, we have Robert Eggers' Werewolf, which will be a werewolf. That's different, which is coming out.
Netflix released something too?
I don't know. Did they? I'm not sure.
I thought there was like a Netflix movie.
There might have been. I'm not sure. Evil Alex says, I liked Lee's Wolfman. Awesome. Yeah, I did too. I saw it in the theater when it came out. And I just went over to the theater to see it by myself. And I was like, this is great. It's really, like, I liked, like, I'm not thinking it was the greatest thing of all time. I thought the relationship between the husband and wife was a little cold. If I had one criticism, I thought maybe their dynamic was a bit icy. Like, I didn't really feel the love necessarily. I did more towards the end when he started to change. But in the beginning, it felt a little kind of cold. But that was really my only critique, I think, as far as I remember. But yeah, anyways, there's lots of stuff. Like, things are products of their time, and we'll see how the Crystal Lake series does. I hope it does well. I really do. And but it wouldn't surprise me. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they deliver an Elm Street film or an Elm Street series that's pretty good, but it just doesn't catch on in the ways they want. They deliver Crystal Lake. It's pretty good. It's actually objectively pretty good. You know what I mean? But it kind of just doesn't, it's kind of there, and maybe they get another season out of it, but maybe it's like just 2 seasons and it's gone. Or, it wouldn't surprise me if Jason, Freddy, and Michael just kind of meander. They're kind of there, but they're not, and they kind of try a few things, and they don't, and I don't think that's necessarily, it could be, but I don't think it's necessarily, a byproduct of just not getting things right, or not getting the right story, or not getting the right this. I think it could just be a byproduct of these characters are old, and a lot of the horror audience today is young. And they want to see Obsession. They want to see Backrooms. They want to see,
I forgot that movie came out.
Yeah. They want to see those things. They're not necessarily into Dad's Freddy, or Dad's Halloween. You know what I mean? And I know the 18 film became the highest grossing slasher in motion picture history, $248 million. I get it. There's a lot of reasons for that. I get it. I totally get it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that, it's generally speaking, I think these characters they're tough sells today. Especially when you got Art the Clown and other characters that are sort of, cooler to a younger generation. Is what it is. Should we go over to the chat room, see what people are saying?
Sure can.
Josh Stevens, one of our great members, sends in a member chat. Been a member for 16 months. Says, you said you didn't want another Halloween, Friday the 13th, or Nightmare on Elm Street film ever again. Well, I said that it wouldn't bother me if they never made another one ever again. Of course I'm totally for it. If they do it, of course I'll be there day one. But if they never did, it wouldn't bother me. But does that also include a TV series or a high quality video game? I think Nightmare on Elm Street could also make for a great video game play. For sure. Yeah. I think that would be amazing. Put the effort into what they did with the Halloween video game that's coming out next month. Put that effort into an Elm Street game, or even a Friday the 13th game. I know we've had a little bit of Friday the 13th here or there, but I mean, like, full on. Like, look at the TLC, the Tender Love and Care they've put into that Friday the 13th Halloween game. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's making me want to become a gamer, and I'm not a gamer.
That's it. Dude, maybe you and I might have to play it live even.
Oh, it's a computer game, right? I don't have to buy anything, right? I don't have to buy a PlayStation or anything like that.
Oh, yeah, but I don't know if it's available on Mac. That's the only thing. It might just be PC.
Well, there you go. Snooze, you lose. Sorry, I'm not changing computer systems.
No. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. That's just
but we did talk about I could do a watch along with you while you play. We did talk about that.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. No, we could totally do that. And let me see here. I'm just scrolling back. Sam AM4I says, hi, Dave. Hi, Samantha. Daz1428 says, Warner's is baiting Paramount with the Nightmare stuff, probably expecting a paycheck. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. I mean, I heard all about it, but, Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street are basically in a situation with divorced parents not being able to get along and do what's best for the kids, work together, but both want to do it solo. That's funny. That's actually an astute observation. Mendel Goodman sends in a member chat and says, hey, Dave, how's it going? Have you ever seen the film The Frisco Kid with Harrison Ford? I just watched it and it was so enjoyable. Years ago. I saw it years ago. Yeah, that was in the 70s when he wasn't, Harrison Ford yet. But yeah, but I haven't seen it in a very, very, very long time. Project Fox says, first time catching two dudes live. Careful how you say that there.
Right.
That's what she said. But we'll be heading to bed here shortly. We'll watch this later at work. Much love, guys. Thank you very much, Project Fox. Kenny says, Jason Goes to Hell was released during Slasher's low point, flat point. It was. And it was a god-awful film, in my opinion. I remember when it came out, 1993. Oh, I mean, no, when I wouldn't even say that, Kenny. I would say it was dead. The slasher subgenre was kind of.
Yeah, because at that point you were getting we were in the psychological thriller era of like Sleeping with the Enemy, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, Silence of the Lambs, Single White Female. Those were kind of becoming the big movies of that early 90s run. We were definitely out of the slasher genre.
Yes, exactly. And so, yeah, by that time it was that was kind of it. Do you know what I mean? We were done. We were done, really, at that point. Let me see here. If you see anything, Tony, feel free to...
Which actually reminds me, I'm going to suggest a movie to everybody on HBO Max if you have it. It's called Lurker. It's kind of a single white female vibe to it. It's an independent film. Christina and I watched it about a week or so ago. I was just kind of flipping through and like seeing if there was anything there that caught my attention. I was like, well, this looks interesting. Saw the trailer and I'm like, okay. And we watched it. And if you're kind of into those movies, like a single white female type vibe, but told in a modern era, check it out. It's called Lurker.
Okay. And it's on HBO Max.
HBO Max, yeah.
Okay. All right. Flick Symmetry. Tim says, What Lies Beneath? Yes.
That's a good one with Harrison Ford.
Great film with Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer. I saw that in the theater when it came out in the year 2000. Great film. Still holds up today. So what's really cool about that movie is it's directed by Robert Zemeckis, who unfortunately has had a lot of misses as of late, which is too bad because he's an iconic director. Obviously, the Back to the Future trilogy, Forrest Gump, Castaway, What Lies Beneath, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I mean, he's an iconic filmmaker. Romancing the Stone and the less enjoyable Jewel of the Nile. But he's iconic.
I like Jewel of the Nile. It's still fun.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's not as good as Romancing the Stone.
No.
Romancing the Stone's unbelievable.
And then you get the third one, War of the Roses.
Yeah, but that wasn't.
I know it's not but I'm talking with Michael Keaton and what's her name?
Or Michael Douglas, you mean?
Michael Douglas, yeah, and what's her name?
Kathleen Turner.
War of the Roses is fucking intense.
It's a great film. Danny DeVito's in that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I will just say that, iconic, right? So he's had a lot of misses over the last 20 years, which is unfortunate because he's an amazing filmmaker. But I'll say this. What's cool about What Lies Beneath, is that, so Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks were filming Castaway in 1999 or whatever it was. And, of course, Tom Hanks was heavy. And what was really cool is that the same crew that was making the first half of Castaway, because they had to take a year off so Tom Hanks could lose all that weight. And so in that year off, while Tom Hanks was losing all that weight and growing a gigantic beard, the crew, the Robert Zemeckis and crew that filmed the first half of Castaway had gone on and shot What Lies Beneath. They went and filmed a whole other movie with a whole different story, with a whole different set of actors, with a whole different setting, and they made this psychological thriller. And then once that was done, that crew picked up and went back to Fiji and shot the last half of Castaway. And I remember that's really cool to think. And I also remember thinking to myself, I remember when I first read about this years and years ago, thinking, I don't think I could do that. Like the emotional whiplash or the creative whiplash of being so into one thing, especially, you're directing, you're the filmmaker, and then all of a sudden you got to put that aside and make a completely different film in a completely different genre with completely different actors in a completely different location. And then once that's done, you go right back to, you have to get right into the mindset of Castaway again, Fiji, we're on this fucking island. It was just, I was like, oh my God, that must have been so hard. And sure enough, Robert Zemeckis did an interview at one point and said he would never do that again. He said it was very difficult. It was very difficult creatively to, kind of be in one mindset with one film, in another mindset with another film, and then go back to another thing. You know what I mean? It's not like you're making the same, film in the same series or something. Like, it's completely different genres. You know what I mean? And so I just thought that was interesting. But What Lies Beneath is, it's a great film. It's a great film. Super chat from Josh McKenna sends in $1.99. Thank you, Josh, and says, "Are you going to see Spider-Man? Big opening." Yeah, biggest opening in history. Spider-Man, 360 million worldwide, nearly made $1 billion. It nearly made $1 billion at the box office.
I'm gonna see it probably in a few weeks.
Few weeks, yeah.
I like going when the crowd's a little bit smaller.
Yeah, I get you in that. Yeah. I might go. I don't know if I have a reason to go. I wouldn't go just on my own. But yeah. Matthew Ferreira 2801 becomes a McCrazy level member, level number 1. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Jonkler the Collector 9854 says, Mike Flanagan is one of the few modern horror filmmakers who I can say that thus far I've enjoyed all of his horror works. There you go. Yeah, I've enjoyed, I haven't seen all of his stuff. Well, he's got, what do you think of that? Mike Flanagan's The Exorcist. There's an Exorcist movie coming out next year.
I know, with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, and Mike Flanagan's directing it. Mike Flanagan did Dr. Sleep.
I know. And I like Dr. Sleep. I do.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just like The Exorcist Believer had potential, but the wrong person was behind it. I mean, it's just a fact. I mean,
I actually don't hate that movie.
No, I don't understand David Gordon Green's thought process on filmmaking. I just don't like it's like you acknowledge the fact that you knew Halloween Ends was going to be divisive. So it's like, well, if you knew it was going to be divisive, why fucking make that movie then? Make a movie where people are going to walk away from it and be like, damn, that was fucking great. You know what I mean? Like this was a good film. Same thing with The Exorcist Believer. I think like he just felt like, well, I'm the director, I'm gonna make the movie that I want to make and whatnot, and not to entertain people. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, no, I like Dr. Sleep, so I have hope, but I don't know.
And it's not a sequel to The Exorcist. I believe it's a film that lives in the same universe. And so, but it's a completely different, I doubt it will be Pazuzu and, because obviously that just, you can't have that because that links it right back to the original. And so, but I believe it lives in the same universe. So there might be a reference to, 50 years ago, a girl, blah, 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 or something. Like there might be something like that. But it's not a direct sequel, set years later, as far as I know. And we'll see. I mean, Mike Flanagan is as good as anybody to be in that position. Doesn't mean he can't deliver a stinker. But
because The Exorcist is on my to-do list for upcoming short docs. And I just always have felt The Exorcist is one of those movies where it's like, it really should have been a one and done. You know what I mean? Right. Like there was just no reason. Like you made such a great movie that had such a huge culture. Like we weren't even born, but I don't think people realize the impact that movie had when it first came out at that time. And, the people walking out of theater throwing up and just couldn't handle it and whatnot. It's like, you're never going to capture that again.
No.
Like, you're never. Legion, I do like. I just think Legion should just been called Legion. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a good movie that you don't even need The Exorcist. You don't even need Tubular Bells in the movie. You know what I mean? No. It stands. Like, if you took the whole, like I feel like they threw an exorcism in there because the movie was called The Exorcist and they didn't have, you know what I mean? Like, you need to have it in there, but like, you didn't need it. It was such a great movie. Like, I just wish, call the damn movie Legion and just run with it. You know what I mean? Like, because it's such a good movie until it starts getting into the whole Exorcist part of it, and you're like, I don't really like this. You know what I mean? Like,
no, exactly. And
I'm supposed to be that father. The father's still alive from the first film and shit, and he's possessed, right?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Legion.
Yes, in Legion.
Yeah. Yeah.
that he's alive in a psychiatric place and stuff. And I'm just like, no, I'm not buying that.
Still one of the greatest jump scares of all time.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It still gets me. It still gets me.
It's great. It is great, and it's the setup. It's not the jump scare itself. It's the anticipation, or it's the misdirect. It's like The Ring.
I love The Ring.
Oh, The Ring's fantastic. The
Ring is a really good movie.
It's a really, really good film. Still holds up today. And rest in peace to the young actress who played Samara. She recently died.
She just recently passed away.
Was that a car accident, or I can't remember?
No, that was the girl from King Kong who died.
Right. She died. Yeah, she was young too.
18.
Yeah, awful.
Like 18.
I know. Yeah, the Samara girl was like 36 or something. It's sad, man. What was I going to say? So Evil Alex says Pazuzu demon appears in the trailer, though. What trailer? The trailer for Mike Flanagan's The Exorcist? There's a trailer for Mike Flanagan's The Exorcist already? Is there?
Oh, yeah, and he's directing the new Carrie series, and I'm just
I don't think he's directing it. I think he's producing it. He might direct an episode or two. Maybe he's directing an episode or two. I don't know.
And I know, like, everyone's excited because this is supposed to be more faithful to Stephen King's book and whatever and whatnot, but it's just like, I don't know. Do we need a Carrie series?
Yeah. Yeah, it's developed by Mike Flanagan. He's the showrunner. He might direct an episode. Maybe he's directing all the episodes. I have no idea. Probably not. There's 6 episodes. The first one's written by Mike Flanagan.
Oh, there is a trailer for the new Exorcist.
Oh, is there?
That's what Evil Alex is saying. I did not know.
How long has that been out? Since what? Why did that come out with no fanfare whatsoever? Are you sure it's not a fan-made one?
Right. Is this a legit one, or is this a?
I don't know. Chat room, let us know. Is there an actual Mike Flanagan? And I don't like this. I didn't know about this. This was met with no fanfare. Unless it's just like a 30-second nothing burger.
I mean, there's this one teaser here. I don't know, Wilson Cleveland. This doesn't seem like a legitimate channel. A legitimate trailer. This other person, same thing. Wilson Cleveland, who's the channel. Oh, new trailer concept. Then it's not legit. When you see trailer concept in someone's subtitle, it's
Evil
not
Alex.
legit.
Yeah, Evil Alex. It says The Exorcist Martyrs 2027 trailer fan-made concept. That's what I'm saying. This Mike Flanagan's The Exorcist would not have been would not have come.
That would have been something like I wouldn't have missed that.
No, well that's what I mean, folks. When you're looking at trailers,
gotta be careful.
You gotta be careful. There is no Mike Flanagan's The Exorcist trailer yet. It does not exist. These are concepts. So no, that trailer does not exist. And so so Pazuzu, as far as we know, does not appear yet. But to your point about The Exorcist, so one of the reasons why The Exorcist worked so well many years ago is because it was a different time, and it was a more conservative world. Certainly in the U.S., it was more conservative. People were far more religious. People hadn't seen anything like that. People did not throw up or were not scared of The Exorcist because of the 360-degree head turns and your mother sucks cocks in hell and fucking yourself with a crucifix. That definitely is part of it.
Yeah.
Played a part of it. To see that would have been awful. But the reason why, people were so enamored with it is because of the it was more of people hadn't seen anything like this before on screen, and so depicted in this manner. And when you are very religious, like Kirk Cameron religious.
That's a
these
little extreme.
Okay, that's a little extreme. But these are but if you're religious and you go to see this film in 1973, and you've never seen anything like it ever, it's a very different time. It's hard to explain how catastrophically terrifying that would be to somebody of faith. And so the news things that you see of people, I mean, there were people walking out of The Exorcist who going, well, whatever, not a big deal. Of course there were. But the clips you see of people fainting or coming out of the theater doing the cross back and forth, this kind of stuff, it was legit. It was real. It terrified them. You don't get that today. It's just, you just don't get that today.
That's true.
Where it's a far more liberal world, and I mean liberal not in the I mean like just not in the political sense. It's we're not as conservative, we're more liberal, we're more open, and things are not as, people aren't as religious today, so people aren't as scared today, people aren't as indoctrinated today. That still goes on, but I'm just saying it's a far less. We have the ease of access to information. We have information at our fingertips. We know so much about the world now and about how it works and about, how marketing works and manipulation and movies and how movies are made. And I mean, like I said, we know everything there is to know about a movie before the movie even releases. In 1973, the first time you know anything about The Exorcist is when you're walking into the fucking theater and sitting your ass down. And you didn't know anything about who's directing it, or I mean, maybe you did, but you probably didn't, or seen nothing. I mean, it was such a different world, and so it was far easier back then to scare audiences because you could scare them with just the power of suggestion. Today, it's much harder to scare audiences with just the power of suggestion, and so it can be done, but it's harder, and so.
Much harder.
Yeah, and so Mike Flanagan's The Exorcist may be a great film, and it may be a scary movie, and it may be a lot of fun, but it will never be The Exorcist. And that's nothing against Mike Flanagan. It's just simply because it's not 1973, and we don't live in a very religious world. We live in a less religious, a less Christian world. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying I don't mean that as any disrespect to people who have of faith. I just mean in comparison to, relative to the 70s, right? It was a different time. You know what I mean? Families, it was just a different time, and so it's harder. It's harder, and now even people of faith are going to see these crazy, wild, crazy, films today, and so it'll never affect the zeitgeist. It'll never hit the way that the original Exorcist did, just because of the time and the naivety. That's what it is also. The naivety of the audience, the innocence of the audience it's not like that today. The audience is smarter today. The audience is more up on how things work today and how movie magic works today and all this kind of stuff. And so it's harder. It's hard to scare audiences today. It's really hard.
Extremely hard because the movie-going audience is mature as fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're dealing with, you're not gonna. Like I said, I understood the concept of the Exorcist believer.
Yeah.
It just, if it was in the right hands, I think it would have done a much better job.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it would have done a much better job. Because I get what they were doing. They just didn't stick the landing with it. I think there was more there that they could have done to really intensify. Like, I just didn't feel like there was anything at stake with these girls. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the stakes were there. Where like with Linda Blair, there were stakes. You know what I mean? And the stakes as that movie progresses ramps up,
That's right.
Until you get to the ending. Whereas I just didn't feel that way with this particular movie. So
yeah. No, I get you. Sorry, a couple super chats came in. I want to get them. Billy Bobs, thank you, says, hey gentlemen, how do you give film watching a little more depth? Sometimes I finish watching a great movie, but then immediately move on to the next. Well, I think that's a great question. I think the first thing that comes to mind is that I think it's inherently built into you. I think there are movie fans that just watch movies, you know what I mean? And just You know, they're not necessarily deeper thinkers or care about, you know, cinematic language and symbolism and depth and all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you less of a fan or more of a fan. It's just people watch movies for different reasons. People watch movies for different things. And I think maybe you're somebody that just watches a really great movie. You appreciate it in the moment. And, you know, when the movie's done, you're like, wow, that was really great. But you're just ready to move on. You know, there's some people like that. And then there's some people like me that might, you know, analyze it a bit more or think about it a bit more. I want to talk about it a bit more, or whatever the case is. It's just because of who I am. You know what I mean? And so it's not necessarily, but a good way, if you want to kind of know more about the movie you just watched, it's great. Look it up on YouTube, find others that are talking about it, find more in-depth analysis on it. You know, and you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, that would be my advice anyway. But there are some movie fans that, like, I know people that just oh, I don't care about any of that stuff. I just watch movies to escape. You know, I mean, there are some people that just watch romantic comedies. There are some people that just watch action movies. You know, there are some people that just watch, I don't know. There are people that just watch Steven Seagal movies. I mean, there are people that just, you know, it's just the way it is. Jean-Claude Van Damme. You know, they just, that's all I watch. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of the way it is. And then there are people that watch, I think you got to watch more of those kinds of movies, you know, so watch the more elevated films, the deeper films, just watch more of them. And I think maybe you'll, you know, become more interested perhaps, but it depends on what movie fan you are. Right. Josh McKenna, $1.99. Mike Flanagan also directing Carrie TV series. Oh yeah, we talked. I think he's only written the first episode. Like when I go to the Wikipedia page, there's 6 episodes. He's written the first one. Apparently that's it. Maybe he directed the first episode and maybe that's it. I will be surprised if he's directed every episode. It wouldn't surprise me if he's directed no episodes. And he's the showrunner. So he's the producer. So he's developed it, spearheaded it, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then Wade's Movie World 6592 sends in $10. D&T, will you guys ever do another movie posters episode? My favorite movie posters from
like
Superman Returns.
Back, to our earlier show.
When was that? Let me look that up.
That's old school, man. That's like one of the very early episodes that we did.
Really?
Okay. Oh yeah. I mean, in that first year, for sure, it was in the first year.
Let me see here. There it is. Wow.
Am I right? In the first year?
Dude, 2 Dudes and Some Bullshit, episode 4.
So that's in the first beginning.
That's in the beginning. This, I'll give you the date.
Guess we can do a revisit.
I'll give you a date. Are you ready for this?
17.
No. December 2nd, the 2nd of December, 2018.
That was close. 1 year off.
We were still doing Google Hangout. We were still doing Google Hangout.
Yeah, you know, we could do a follow-up, I guess. It's been almost 10 years.
Yeah, it has. It has. That might be kind of fun. Holy cow. That's a long time. Long time.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Brooke Scarlett says, Dave, can you drop the link to Tony's documentary channel in the chat? Tony, you could probably do that. Drop your...
I don't think it's letting me because I think I'm not an admin. So I think I tried a couple times. Yeah, the first episode is on there. I did
what's your channel name again?
3 a.m. features. Yeah, I did Halloween 1978, and I'm just about done with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
All right, there it is. Put it in the chat.
If you guys are like the little behind the scenes stuff on my Instagram, Anthony Michael Productions, I posted today. I did some restorations to some of the archive photos, like really kind of polished them up. I also created a picture of the farmhouse because I couldn't find a really good shot of the farmhouse. So I was just like, fuck this. I took 3 photos. I took from the set photography, the foreground of what the landscape looked like back in 74. I took one of my pictures in Georgia as like kind of the sky and some trees. But then I found this archive photo from 2000 of the farmhouse with the windmill still. And so I basically created a composite image because I wanted to have a good shot of the house and I just didn't have it. So I was like, fuck this, I'm going to create it myself. So if you like those things, like I'm kind of doing a nice buildup from one doc to the next where I'm showing like, this is how I'm doing this. This is how I'm restoring some of these photos, you know, like, cause a lot of those photos that were taken, man, some of them are like really out of focus, but they're good pictures. So I'm restoring them and bringing a lot of focus back into these images that will be shared in, you know, the Texas Chainsaw doc. So if you're into that, my Instagram is Anthony Michael Productions. And then the 3 a.m. features is where I actually will post. These docs are intended to be about 10 to 15 minutes in length. Like the one I'm going to do after this is going to be on Led Zeppelin. And then I'm going to do Richard Ramirez, The Night Stalker. So it's going to be a variety of films, music, people, and historical events. Like I want to do one on Woodstock, and when December rolls around, I'd like to do one on Black Christmas and do some stuff with It's Me Billy in there. And get some things from you to tie into the doc. And if you like black and white, these are done in black and white. That was a creative choice because I love black and white photography. You know, I love it. I love the film. So I decided, you know, let me do something different because people have seen this stuff in color. Let me do this in black and white. So Halloween 1978 is on right now. I do the writing and that is me doing the narration, but I did an AI filter to change my voice to an actual quote narrator.
Oh, okay. Well, you could have just left your own voice.
I hate my voice. No, I hate it. Christina said the same thing. I'm like, no, I fucking hate my voice. I just don't. I wanted in my head. I have Jeremy Irons doing the narrating. Like that's who I hear in my head. So
you could have just, you know,
reached out to him.
Reached out to him. Why not? Reach out to his reps.
Could you do the videos for me? So I wanted that kind, but I ended up falling on. Like I found this app that will change your voice for you. So I was like, all right, well, let me do that. And it kind of sounds like a 90s type, you know, deep tone voice. Almost like you would hear in like a movie trailer that's narrating the video. And of course it's all original music. So like, because I don't want to deal with copyright issues. I didn't want, you know, even I found this out. I didn't know. If I had played the Halloween score, they can still copyright that and strike my video. I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I thought like if I played it and then I found out you can't do that. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? So I'm writing and producing original music for each one of these videos as well. And I'm releasing some of the tracks as singles on Spotify and SoundCloud. Like I have two that I did for Texas Chainsaw. I have one called Sawyer, and then I have another one called Leatherface that I'm going to release. I released Sawyer already. Leatherface will be released when I release the doc next week.
Right.
So, but I appreciate those who have watched it and given me feedback. Even some of the constructive feedback I applied in this new doc as well too, because I'm, you know, it's a, you know, I mean, you did It's Me Billy. You know how much of an undertaking this is. It's a lot of work, you know, that goes into it. But I love constructive feedback because that's only going to make me do better. Because I want these to do better, and I want you guys to enjoy it. So
yeah, no, for sure, for sure. 3 a.m. Features is the name of Tony's channel where he'll be doing that. Again, I'll just put the link in the chat.
And all the social stuff, like my Instagram for Anthony Michael Productions is on there, and you can see all the nitty, you know, gritty behind the scenes stuff. And like I said, the photo restorations that I did with Chainsaw Massacre pictures and whatnot. Actually, they came out pretty good. They came out. I shared them today. They came out really good.
Cool. I can't wait to see them. Now, what's the story of the Leatherface mask behind you there?
Oh, just, you know, keep me motivated when like I'm putting in like a 12-hour day. I'm like, okay, I'm almost done.
Gotcha.
You know, turn around. Like I got a Led Zeppelin poster that's going to go there when I start working on Led Zeppelin next. So it's just a little motivation. Michael's right there. You can't see him, but
no, he's right there.
He's right there next to me.
Nice. Nice.
But
nice.
yeah, Jeremy Irons, if I could ever afford him one day, that would be the guy that I would want narrating my documentaries.
Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask. Like, hey, man.
I ain't got that kind of money.
No, just pay him in compliments. Just pay him in compliments. That's all you got to do. Just pay him in compliments. Yeah, that's it. All right. Any last things we want to talk about in terms of Crystal Lake before we wrap up?
I'm excited for it, man. I just think it opens the door. Obviously, it's hard to base off of a 30, 49-second quick trailer, right? Yeah. I mean, so I want to see a full trailer. Obviously, when a full trailer drops, I'm sure we'll come back and do a follow-up.
For sure.
To that and whatnot. So expect that probably somewhere in September, because I agree with you. They're probably going to drop the full trailer by the end of this month.
Yeah.
I think you and I are coming from the perspective because look, I'm not saying we came up with this idea, but we were one of the first ones talking about this years ago. I mean, I'm not saying they took our idea, but I do think that if you're trying to reimagine and you're looking to create something new and fresh, there's just so much potential that you can go with this. And I'm not against bringing Jason back, but let this story with Pamela Voorhees breathe for a season or 2 or 3 before you go into Jason. You know what I mean? I don't want them to go in panic mode where they're people are well, this is shit, man, this is shit. And then all of a sudden they're ramping up Jason. You know what I mean?
Here, I just did a quick search on our library. One of the first ones I found, because I know we've talked about it a few times. Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, episode 149, Friday the 13th reboot with Pamela. One of our what if scenarios. We talked about it on the 11th of April, 2022.
So 4 years ago.
Over 4 years ago. This was long before there was a Crystal Lake series announced.
Yeah.
And there was also before that as well. We've talked about it before that too. I think we talked about it on one of our watch-alongs of the original Friday the 13th.
Yes, we did.
And Friday the 13th. Just see what happens here. That would have been episode 3. So it would have been 2018 that when we first started talking about it.
Yeah, I just, it's exciting, and again, I go back to what I said earlier when we first went on, man. A24 just, they consistently deliver. Look, again, not every film. Oh, I meant to say this when you were talking about Zemeckis, you're not always going to hit a home run with a movie. It's just the nature of making films. Not everyone is going to go out of the park. When you're going to step up and you're going to strike out sometimes. It is what it is. And A24, they haven't always delivered, but they have been consistent at producing good shit. So it's there is a trust there. Whereas if you told me David Gordon Green was making this, I would have no fucking confidence, zero trust. You know what I mean? I wouldn't, because I think he takes the wrong approach to filmmaking. He makes it more personal and about the kind of film he wants to make versus to looking at it when you're talking about an IP like Halloween, there's an established fan base. You know what I mean?
There is.
It's this isn't just about you, bro. You know what I mean? There's a fan base there too. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you got to keep that in mind as a creator and as a filmmaker. And so, I'm hopeful, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know.
Well, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Oh my God, that's right. I forgot that she was in Freaks and Geeks. Oh my God, I totally
Linda Cardellini?
Yes. Oh my God, that's a callback. I mean, that is a fucking callback.
That's I never saw Freaks and Geeks, but I like Linda Cardellini.
Really? You never saw Freaks and Geeks? I think you would like it. I do.
Probably would.
I think you would enjoy it.
I probably would enjoy it. Yeah. Well, listen, I'll just say this, then we'll wrap up. I agree with everything you've said. I'm excited for the Pamela Voorhees angle because I will continue to repeat this, that people who say nobody cares about Pamela Voorhees, that's true. And the reason is because you haven't been given a reason to care. Now, that doesn't mean that this is going to be it. This could be a catastrophic failure. I'm not going out on a limb and saying this is, I'm not saying that. I'm just that this is it. This is going to change everything. I'm just saying that the reason you don't care about Pamela is because you haven't been given a reason to care. You think of, Betsy Palmer in the cheesy 1980 movie, and that's your association. If you're a little bit older, maybe you think of Freddy versus Jason, whoever they got in that, but you don't think that there's no reason. There's no, there's no reason to care. Well, imagine if this is a good series. It doesn't have to blow your socks off. Please, Friday the 13th fans, do not have your expectations as this has to be fucking 10 out of 10 or it's shit. Do not go into this for that. Go in, walking away from it going, and if you can walk away and say, you know what? That was actually pretty good. I enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. Then it's a win. It's a win. Because what's the alternative? It's dog shit. Or, I guess it could blow your mind, but there's so much going against this right now that all you have to do is just hope for the best. Maybe it's pretty, hey, it was actually pretty good. Linda Cardellini's fucking amazing. And if it's really good and you love her in the role, now you have a new association with Pamela Voorhees. And now when you think of Pamela Voorhees, you're no longer just going to think of Betsy Palmer in 1980. You're going to think of Linda Cardellini in 2026. And I think that's worth the risk because there's a lot of potential with that character.
Agreed.
A lot of care. It doesn't mean, listen, they could take the swing and miss, and we could watch it. And Tony, could come back on here and go, oh, boy,
that was fucking dog shit.
That was dog shit. That was rough.
That's a fact. That's a fact. At least we're going in with an objective mind of like, let's give it a shot.
Right. But I think there's only an up and up because if it's dog shit, well, nobody cares about Pamela anyway, apparently. So it's not like, are you going to care less about Pamela if it's dog shit? No, you're just going to care the same that you do. Right? So there's really only an up and up here as far as I'm concerned. And so I think it's worth the risk and we'll see what they do with it. My expectations are if I can walk away, and I think Tony's the same, if we can walk away going, that was pretty good. And if we walk away with our minds blown, then great. But if we can walk away with it just being, that was really good, then I think we're good. Yeah. That's how I feel about it anyway. All right. So listen. That's going to do it for this episode of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. I want to thank, of course, everybody who tuned in today. Folks, if you're watching after the fact, thank you. Hopefully, I think I still sound a little sick, but I'm getting better. If you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section.
Sexy nasally.
That's it. Yeah. Jump into the comment section and let Tony and I know your thoughts on anything we had to say here today. But of course, more specifically, the main topic. Friday the 13th, our Crystal Lake series, Peacock. Are you excited about it? Are you not excited about it? What do you think of the teaser trailer? And are you excited for the full-length trailer coming very soon? Thank you to our moderators, of course, to the super chats that came in, the member chats. Thank you to everybody who's watched today and tuned in. And Tony and I will be back very soon. Tony, any last things you want to say?
No, man, this was a great show. If you're watching afterwards, I will put a link to 3 a.m. features in the comments section so you can subscribe, support that channel. And if you want to look at the nitty gritty behind the scenes, you can just find me at Anthony Michael Productions on Instagram and see all the cool shit that I'm doing to put these fun videos for you guys to enjoy together.
Amazing. Yeah, please do check it out because he's got a lot coming down the pipe. All right, folks, that's going to do it. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.